2 weeks ago now, Apple dropped the 12.3 update on Logic Pro for Mac. And first things first, I'm stoked. So grateful this app I built my entire world around keeps getting better with new features, sounds, and instruments. But if I'm being honest, every time an update drops, I can't help but dream about what's next. And so I wanted to put something out into the universe. You can call it my Christmas in July wish list for Logic Pro. Because my dream for Logic is simple. I want this app to be the only app any of us ever want to use for creating music. And I think the few items on my wish list would take Logic Pro from being an awesome app to being the only app you'd want to open. I've been living in Logic Pro now for 15 plus years, and I've been teaching about the app for 8 plus years. It's my home. I built a career on it. And look at what Apple has done with the app over the years. It's been remarkable. From Alchemy to Atmos, session players to samplers, live loops. I mean, the stock instruments and sound packs that come with the app are truly world class. It's very clear Apple's put a lot of love into the start of a song, the creation, the inspiration to get you going. And it makes so much sense. I mean, when I ask Logic users, what do you want to see in Logic next? It's more often than not focused on the beginning stages. More session players, more sounds, more instruments, more functionality focused on the creation of a song. And I get that. I love those things too. But here's where I land. My wish list is the case for the other half, the rest of the song creation process, the carrying the song over the finish line. Because it's at that stage where I sometimes still find myself leaving Logic. I've got about 9 of these, and they fall into 3 buckets. Number 1, stuff Apple's already built and just needs to bring over. Number 2, stuff Apple started and just need to finish. And number 3, the big one, tools to get you over the finish line. Let's dig into it. Number 1, automatic level matching built into all of the stock EQs. So as you boost and cut, your track's loudness never changes. Or to put it another way, auto gain. Here's why this matters. When you're new to music production, everything's confusing, right? But EQ causes more confusion than it needs to. Because when you boost a frequency, the track inevitably gets louder. And your brain thinks, oh, sounds better. And when you cut a frequency, the track gets quieter. And your brain then thinks, sounds worse. Well, neither has any bearing on whether or not you actually improve the sound of that track. And it never fully goes away. Even those of us who are very familiar with using an EQ, we have to be diligent and mindful about that change in volume tricking our ears. And that's why Logic's EQs include an output gain, so that you can compensate for these level changes. But the problem is it's a manual process that you have to do every time you make a change with an EQ, every single time. And in 2026, this just seems like a redundancy that technology should remove from the workflow. Third-party EQs like Claro from Sonox and the Pro Q4 from FabFilter have had auto gain for years. And here's the kicker. Apple already has the tech. It's built right in the Mastering Assistant. There's a button right there called Loudness Compensation, does the exact same thing. It's built into most of the distortion plugins. And there's even level matching in the Project and Loops browsers. It's already in Logic Pro. I just want Apple to add it to the EQs. Because I believe truly that this would make mixing so much easier for so many users. So please, Apple, just add auto gain to the stock EQs. And if I could be greedy, the compressor too. Number 2, Logic Pro for iPad's universal browser. You know, the one where you can just tap the name of a patch to preview it before you load it. And smart sorting. And the ability to drag an Apple loop into the browser to find similar sounds. Yeah, that one. Add it to the desktop version of Logic Pro. Because on the desktop, if you want to preview a patch in the library, well, you select a patch and it loads into the session, and then you press a note on your keyboard and you go, no, that's not the one I was looking for. Next patch, load it, hit a note, rinse and repeat. It takes so long on the desktop. But Logic Pro for iPad already has this amazing version of the browser. So why not bring it to the desktop? Because when finding sounds is fast and easy, it keeps you in the creative workflow. Number 3, a single channel strip plugin window with tabs. So you can tab between the different plugins you're using on a track, just like we have in Logic Pro for iPad. Plus, the at-a-glance plugin tiles that give you key parameters of different plugins and meters so you can quickly interact with them without having to open a plugin window. Because managing plugin windows in Logic Pro for Mac, it's a workflow killer. And I'd just be happy with a tabbed plugin window like Step Effects or Fat Effects where you can quickly reorder or, turn them on and off. That'd be awesome. And given the amount of rumors that are flying right now about the possibility of a touchscreen MacBook sometime later this year or early next year, it almost seems like that the Logic Pro for iPad experience coming to the Mac is less of a wish list item and more of an inevitability. So why wait? Number 4, FlexPitch. So I love the native workflow of FlexPitch. I much prefer opening FlexPitch in the tracks area than opening a plugin window and juggling it around just to tune a vocal. But the sonic results still aren't quite there yet. I've noticed on hard consonants and sibilants and breaths that they tend to experience, if anything experiences, artifacts and digital hash, it's those. So you have to chop them out individually.
I do recall the methine. I do recall the methine.
And it's just gotten to the point where it's either please fix FlexPitch and make it as good as it can be, or just be honest and say it's a rough draft tool. Because I much rather have one rock solid pitch tool in Logic Pro than a so-so one that sends me back to Melodyne. And just to be clear, I don't want to use Melodyne. It's a great tool, but I don't want to use it. I want to stay all in Logic Pro, and that would just be the dream for me. Number 5, because if I didn't bring this up, the internet would explode. Aura 2.0, Audio Random Access 2.0, developed by Celemony. For plugins like Melodyne, Vocaline, Voice Assist, working in Logic Pro for Mac on Apple Silicon systems without Rosetta 2. So there's actually a really good reason why you can't run Aura for Melodyne or anything else in Logic Pro for Mac on an Apple Silicon system without Rosetta, and that's because the plugins are hosted outside of Logic Pro. They're no longer hosted inside the application. And this is great news for stability because if a plugin goes bad, it doesn't crash your whole session. But let's be honest, it's a workflow killer. It just takes more time to hit record in a plugin and wait for the whole session to play through so you can transfer the audio. And, even Apple has come out recently from behind the curtains to say, we're working on it. We're almost there. So I don't want to belabor the point. I just want to point it out and say, we're still waiting. Number 6, give visual continuity to the plugin catalog in Logic. Because right now there's like 4 design philosophies spread across the different plugins and instruments. First, we have the old style of the ES2 and Sculpture and Multipressor. Then there's the skeuomorphic, cartoony of Pedalboard and Amp Designer and Retro Synth. Then we have the super flat of samplers and drum synth. And then there's this flat but with a little lift or visual contrast of the pitch correction plugin. And I know it's not exciting or sexy to update the plugin catalog so it all feels like it's part of the same era. But yet, how nice would it be to open Logic and have everything feel like it's part of the same application? It would just be a nice user experience, and I think it would improve workflow because there's not that weird task switching of really old style plugins that are really complicated and intense, and then the newer plugins that are much more inviting. All right, this last bucket is the one I care about the most, and that's because it's the finish line. It's the tools that carry a song from good idea to done. And I want to start with the one that actually surprised me when I realized it had to be on this list, and that's Mastering Assistant. So Mastering Assistant is genuinely good. I'm impressed by it. It can help you achieve a competitive master fast, and for a lot of folks, that's a blessing. But as it stands right now, Mastering Assistant is a black box. You press a button, it does some stuff, and then you get this EQ curve. I mean, what do you do with that, right? I want to see the insides of Mastering Assistant, processor by processor, because I can guarantee it's doing more, way more than EQ. And to me, Logic Pro being fully self-contained is not an app that just does the thing for you, but instead is an app that grows with you. So today, maybe you press the button and it just does the thing, but then you can learn from it and then apply what you learn and maybe eventually start to do the thing yourself. Because to me, The best version of Logic Pro is the one that doesn't just hide the finish line behind a button. Number 8, level up the mixing toolkit in Logic. Here's the thing, the audio effects in Logic, the channel EQ, compressor, the limiters, etc., they're genuinely good. They can get the job done. I've done it for plenty of songs using just the stuff that comes with Logic. But we're now in a world where we have Sooth from Oak Sound and Ozone from Isotope and the Oxford Drumgate from Sonox and a raft of plugins that emulate the sound of hardware and analog vibe. And when you compare the two, it just feels like that the Logic plugins are a bit vanilla. And that's what Apple's all about, is innovation. So why not give us a delay plugin that has vibe, just like Echo Boy from Soundtoys has, or Valhalla Delay? Why not give us a multi-effect tool that makes mixing the low end in a track easier? Because that's the hardest part of any mix for anyone, right? Like I said at the beginning of this video, Apple's put all this emphasis on the beginning of a song, sounds and session players and instruments. I'm saying take that back half of a song of music production as seriously as the front end. Give us the tools that carry a song over the finish line and just makes life easier. And number 9, the final item on my wish list for Logic Pro is real comprehensive metering. I'll be honest, Logic has meters like the multimeter, but I don't use them. It's a shame, but I go outside of Logic for my metering, like tonal balance control from Isotope and the Pro L from FabFilter. And for the crowd that's about to say, listen with your ears, not with your eyes, I'm with you 100%. Metering is just a double check on what you think you're hearing. It gives you something else, a second opinion, so you're not losing your mind, right? If it's 1 a.m. and you have lost all context, but you got to get this thing done, meters help. And that's why I really think Apple should create more comprehensive metering in Logic. And the funny thing is the compressor has a graph view, and Beatbreaker has an oscilloscope, and Alchemy has a spectral analyzer. Can we put all of these in multimeter? Could they be standalone meters? Could we get a PSR meter, or peak to short-term, loudness meter for measuring dynamics? Could we get a VU meter? I know some folks find VU meters, not that helpful, but I love them and they're just fun. Could we get them? And as a side bonus, I would also love to be able to reference music from Apple Music in Logic. I mean, that seems to write itself, right? Like Apple owns Logic, they own Apple Music. There's some cross-promotion opportunities there. And referencing is such a key component or technique for getting a song to the finish line. At the very least, could we get a real metering view in Logic Remote? That would be sick. Apple, you have all the pieces. Why not get them all in one place for the best DAW experience ever? So here's the through line in all of this. I don't want Logic Pro to be more. I want it to be complete. My dream is for Logic to be fully self-contained so that you and I never ever feel the need to reach outside of the app to finish a record. Apple has done a remarkable job on the front end of the music creation process. I mean, the sounds and the inspiration and the instruments. I'm saying let's focus on the back half, the getting a song to the finish line. And the wild thing is Apple is so close. They've done so much of the work already. It's just in other places other than in Logic Pro. So that's my wish list. I want to hear yours. I want to know what you would love to see in Logic Pro, not stuff you hate about the app. No, the possibility, the opportunity, wouldn't it be amazing if. Drop it in the comments below. Let's manifest this into the universe and maybe, who knows, it will end up in the next update.